guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna paint a bouquet of flowers. Let's get started.
Alright guys, all you need for this project is some watercolor paper, paper towel, watercolor brushes, and some watercolor paints. We have some tube paints in these beautiful pink colors already squeezed out on the palette. And then we have a yellow, a green, and a purple, additional colors for some leaves and berries or whatever. Then we also have water jars. That's kind of important when you're painting with watercolor, right? Let me show you guys the paper we have today. This is Fluid 100. It is 100% cotton, but I've discovered it's one of the most affordable cotton watercolor papers out there. So I highly recommend this for doing projects with watercolor with your kids. Now, before we start our little rows today, we're going to do some practice runs just to get used to some specific brush strokes that we're going to use for this project.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to start by wetting our brush. So dip your brush in the water, swirl it around a little bit, and then swipe your brush along the side of your jar to remove any extra water. You see that? Since these paints have been on the palette for a little while, we actually need to spray them with some water just to get them wet again and flowing for us. Having juicy paint is actually really important with getting the effects that we're going for in this painting. So we're going to start by practicing just getting used to our brushes in the paint. And so I want you to grab a juicy amount of paint. Can you swirl it around on a color?
Okay.
So swirl your brush in the color until you have tons of paint in your brush.
That's like it absorbed onto your brush.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, now once you have a juicy amount of paint, then you can take your brush and I want you to make a tiny tip of the brush on the paper and then flatten it like that.
Okay.
Tip, flatten, and then slowly release. Let's try that again. The goal is to get a really sharp little point so you can pull your brush away and then flatten it and then pull it away and feather it up as you release it. Yeah. Try it again with a bigger shape. Yeah. Get some more paint, how about? Grab some more. Good. Now, I want you to hold your brush a little more sideways. Instead of up like this, a little more like this.
Okay.
Okay, and
like
just touch the tip of the brush to the paper. Just touch it. Flatten it a little bit and pull. And then release like you're just barely touching the tip. We'll practice this as many times as we need to. So you pull and then release. See that sharp point at the end? That's it. Ooh, there you go. Make a couple more marks over here. One more thing we're going to try now on our practice sheet. You got that down now. Good job. We're going to try making it more of a circular shape. So I want you to try doing something like this.
Okay, it's like a smiley face.
Yeah. Can you make it a little fatter? So flatten your brush a little like that.
Okay.
You're going to use the big fat belly side of, this is the middle section of your brush, is the belly side of the brush.
Okay.
So when you flatten your brush, watch again. You go belly of the brush and scoop up. Yes, and then scoop up. Good. How's that feel? Let's try one more. So you go tip, belly of the brush and scoop it up.
Tip, belly, scoop it up.
Good.
Nearly a scoop.
Now you can actually make the top part the same way, but go in the opposite direction. So you go tip, belly, scoop.
Okay.
It's almost like you're making a circle shape with an upside down smile
Tip.
and a smile.
It's like lips.
Good.
It's like we're drawing lips.
Yes. Isn't that fun just playing with your brush like that? Let's try another one. We'll start really little. Little belly and then the upper belly.
Okay, I need more paint.
Okay. And now make one above it like this, like a rainbow shape. Good. I think we're ready to start. What do you think?
Yep.
Okay. Now we didn't tape it down today because in case you need to turn your paper just to get a better angle on your rows, that way it's just helpful to have it loose. Do make sure that you're using watercolor paper for this project. It just won't work the same if you're trying to use something else. So we squeezed out some yellow and green on the palette just for the leaves, but for now we're going to start with the roses. We're going to try to make 3 roses right in the center of the paper, all next to each other, using those same brush strokes that we just practiced. Now, which pink do you want to use? That one? Yeah, that's my favorite too. So dip your brush in the water first. Remove any extra water on the edge of your water jar. I'm going to use this light pink. So swirl your brush around on the palette to get a lot of paint. It's a good juicy amount. Now we're actually going to start by making a little dot in the center of the rose first. So let's start with the top rose. We're going to put a little dot in the center.
Okay.
That's all we need for the beginning. And then from there, let's touch the little dot and then make sure there's a little space away from it and do our swooping motion.
Okay. It's like tip.
Come close around the dot. We're going to try to surround it with the petals. Now we come across on the other side and do the same thing. So making big belly side of the brush strokes around that little dot in the center. Let's make another one. Coming around. Now leave a little white gap in between your brush strokes. You see that? Little white gap in between. Good. Now those are actually kind of far apart, so what you could do is put some brush strokes in between. There you go. Good. If you have a big white space in the center, just take one little brush stroke and put it in there and almost fill it in, but make sure to leave some white in the middle. And now I'm going to add another big belly side of the brush stroke.
Yeah.
Ooh, big swooping motions. These don't have to be perfect. And they can kind of touch each other. Very nice. Now let's start our second rose. So grab some more paint and make a little dot where you want the second rose to be. We'll put it kind of off to the left. And that's the middle, so make sure there's space all around it to put the petals. Good. And then do a little upside down. Let's do a smiley face right underneath it. The big belly brush stroke. And when I say belly brush stroke, what I mean is using this part of your brush, so you're gonna flatten it a little more. Yep, and then lift around. Hold your paper steady. Good. Let's do that around on the top. Watch me first. I'm gonna touch this one and then come around the top, but leaving some space in between. Almost like our seashell we painted, we're making a spiral shape. You might need to grab some more paint if it's starting to catch on the paper.
I never really painted a rose before.
This
but
is
I
new,
tried
isn't
my
it?
best.
Yeah. This is a great start. Good. Now let's do a big brush stroke underneath. I'm going to touch the left side, swoop around underneath, and make sure there's some space in between those petals.
Okay.
Watch, I'm going to do another big swooping motion on the side.
Cool.
It's okay if it touches the other part of the rose a little bit. Just want a couple little white gaps where the paper's showing. But remember, making a circular shape around the rose.
Oops.
Watch this one. I'm going to go across the top and make a big circular shape.
Okay.
But a half circle, not all the way around it. Those look really good. Do you know how good those look? Let's make our third one. Make a dot first. Over on the right side. Yeah. And then do your swooping shape on the top and then touch. Then do this swooping shape on the other side of it.
It's like a tilted heart.
Yeah, it kind of is. Now let's do that again. Touch the side, make a rainbow around it, halfway around the rose.
Just to fat in the middle and the end of the
Exactly.
rainbow.
That's where the belly side of the brush, we press down into the belly of the brush and then release as we come up. Good. Good brush strokes. Let's do that again. Make a big swooping motion so you can touch the other roses. All right, once you're happy with your rose shapes, rinse your pink out. Now, while they're still a little bit wet, we're going to add a couple of dark colors in the center of the rose. So since you chose this color, maybe you grab this darker red right here.
Okay.
So grab a little bit of that on the tip of your brush. Not as much paint as you had when you were painting the big shapes. But now in the middle of your rose, just touch a little bit of color in the center. Even where it's wet, you can do that. So watch what I'm doing. I'm actually kind of matching the swirling shapes that we already created just in the middle of the rose. So it looks like it's deeper inside of the rose. There's some depth and shape. This is where the bees all want to go, isn't it? But use your other hand to hold your paper steady.
Okay.
And try not to drag your hand through the wet paint. Oops.
Okay.
Happens with everyone. Okay, the next thing is to do the leaves. Now, this is really important. If you don't want pink to be in your leaves, you got to rinse your brush all the way. Rinse out all that pink, and then dry your brush on your paper towel. Okay, now remember those shapes we practiced on our little practice paper over here?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna use those for the leaves too.
Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna mix this color and this color right here in the middle.
Okay.
So we get this beautiful, super dark
Wow.
green.
That's beautiful.
Now, with my tons of paint on my brush, I'm gonna make a little stem coming out between the roses right here.
Okay.
You have to barely touch the paper with the tip of your brush to make a mark like that. So skinny little brush stroke. Good. Let's do that on this side between these two roses. Little stem. And now, coming out from the stem, you can start a little ways away from it. And see, remember those brush strokes we practiced?
Uh-huh.
You're gonna make a leaf that way.
Cool.
So start with skinny, and then fat, and then skinny again. Skinny, fat, skinny. It's kind of fun, isn't it? And that's how we're creating little leaves on each side of the stem. See how I did those?
Uh-huh.
And you can do that on this side too. They don't have to all look exactly alike.
I need a bit more paint.
Okay. And you can add a couple more little teeny stems, suggesting the bouquet just coming out to the side like that. Now I'm gonna rinse my brush because I'm done with the green. Okay, let's use purple next. Now for the purple, okay, so I pulled out our little practice sheet again, and I'm just gonna show you a couple little brush strokes we can do to make berries. I dipped into the purple, and I'm just gonna make a little circle shape, but I'm gonna leave a little tiny white spot in the
Cool.
middle. You do want a little less paint in your brush for these because they're really small. Okay, so we've practiced our berries. We're gonna put them right next to our green. Try not to touch the green if it's still wet. So maybe at the base of some of your flowers, like at the bottom of the composition, this would be a good spot.
Okay.
So there's my first one. And you just feel like maybe there's too much paint or water on your brush, you can remove some on your paper towel, and that'll help you control it a little better. And it also makes the purple look lighter, which is kind of nice. I like how you're putting one at the top. I'm going to do the same thing. It's tricky. Try not to drag your hand through the paint. And that's why we can tilt and twist our paper around. You're doing the right thing. I'm going to do that too. Keep from dragging our hand through it.
If I keep it straight and paint from here, I might accidentally get my sleeve caught in there. Cool berries.
Thanks, you too. The nice thing about making floral bouquets like this is you can really make them any way you want. You can make them any color, any shape. Just use your imagination, right? And if you want to add a little more pink, you can add pink berries.
Cool. Are those poisonous?
Are they poisonous? They're imaginary berries, so no. We'll say they're not. I'm even adding a couple little pink leaves because I think that looks cool to help balance out the color.
I think, you know what? I'm gonna do that too. Good
Okay.
idea.
Awesome. Look how good those look. Don't those look pretty? There. So there's our finished bouquet of roses. Those were Ansley's first flowers or first roses she's ever painted. And I thought that turned out so great. So this project is an amazing practice. If you're trying to get better at brush strokes and just learning how to control the direction that your brush moves, this was an awesome project. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this one.
See you in the next video.